everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Author You, your guide to book publishing. I'm Judith Briles, and with me is the awesome Jim Cox from Midwest Book Reviews, but more about Jim in just a bit. I always like to start a show with a quote from my little book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty Success for Authors. And let's just start with, are you living your book dream? Or are you living in Stuckyville because you can't stop tweaking, perfecting, or procrastinating? So, today is all about author success. And one of the formulas for author success is gathering up book reviews. One of the best go-to resources that is sometimes it's a hidden secret, one of those gems, is Midwest Book Reviews that Jim Cox is the founder of, coordinates, has all kinds of goodies. You're going to hear about what they have. But it's a story within itself. It involved doing a local weekly radio show called Book Watch several years ago. And then it became a weekly 30-minute TV show called Book Watch for several decades. And then it went to just strictly an online organization that actually has not one, not two, not three, but nine monthly book review publications for librarians, for dedicated booklophiles, and the general public. So in his spare time, he does write a monthly column called the Jim Cox Report. And it's been going on for, oh my God, over 2 decades. So with that, Jim, welcome back to the show.
Oh, Judith, it's nice to hear you again.
There you go. All right.
You've been a cyberspace pen pal of mine for I don't know how long.
Oh, no one has ever called me a cyberspace pen pal. That's the best.
You ask the questions, and I'll try to come up with the answers.
Okay, so let's kind of jump into that. Little history on you. How did you become a book reviewer? What brought you in? What was the lure that went out and reeled you in?
Well, I learned to read around when I was like about 4 or 5 years old, and I've been a dedicated, hardcore bibliophile ever since. In fact, before becoming a book reviewer in 1976, I used to spend about 1/3 of my take-home pay on books and magazines. How I got to be a book reviewer was by accident. I was a member of the local science fiction club in Madison, Wisconsin, and we held our meetings every Wednesday evening in a local restaurant. And in one night came a very good friend of mine by the name of Hank Luttrell, who was at that time a mail order bookseller. Later on, he would go on to open up his own bookstore. But he came in one night with a very high-priced coffee table book under his arm called the Toynbee Aikida Dialogue. Now, Hank knew 3 things about me. 1, I was a bookworm down to the core of my soul. 2, the late, great British historian Arnold J. Toynbee, with his cyclical theory of the rise and fall of kingdoms and empires, was a subject of intense interest to me. And the 3rd thing he knew about me was I was absolutely broke. So he walks over to me and he hands me this coffee table book and he says, "Would you like to have this book for free?" I looked up at him and says, "Hank, I would. Whose kneecaps you want me to bust?" He says, No. There's this brand new radio station just opened up a couple of months ago called WORTFM, WORT. And he says, there's this professor who started up a little half-hour book show for people to come and talk about what they're reading. And if you go down there this Saturday, take 3 minutes to tell him on the air what you think of this book, you get to keep it. Well, the next Saturday morning, I was in front of the ugliest 1-story cinder block building you ever saw. And perched precariously on top of it was one of those radio tower antennas, the kind that used to open up the RKO movies. That looked like it was going to plunge through the roof at just any minute now. And there was this little old man with his white sleeves rolled up, greeting me, ushering me into a room that was about the size of a pregnant closet. A table, 2 chairs, 2 microphones, 2 headphones, and a bank of dials and stuff. Mm-hmm. He opened up the show, introduced me, and said, "Jim, what did you think about this book?" 30 minutes later, I was still telling him what I thought about the book. And he reached over, patted my arm, and says, "I'm sorry, Jim, we're out of time. We have to go." And I realized I had hogged the poor man's entire show. So while he was signing off, I was preparing to grovel in apology. He signed off, and then he took the stack of books that was by his elbow that I thought probably was what he was going to talk about. I hadn't hogged this whole show. He shoved them gently across the table to me and said, "Jim, take these home. Read through them. Come back next Saturday. Tell me what you think." And thus was born my book review career. A month later,
and that's when it starts.
Hosting the show. 3 months later, I talked the station manager into expanding from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. A few months after that, I tacked on a second back-to-back show called the Science Fiction and Fantasy Hour with James Andrew Cox. I was never the shy type. And so for the next, from 76 to 1980, I was doing a 2-hour radio block every Sunday morning with a focus on books, the people who write them, the people who publish them, the people who market them, as well as the people who read them. That's how I got started.
That's how it begins. I think, Jim, I wrote a book a long time ago called The Confidence Factor, Cosmic Gooses Lay Golden Eggs. You were in a cosmic goose that laid the golden egg on that. And someone said, Judith, that's not grammatically, correct. I said, it's my book, and that's what's going with it on that. All right.
From Mark
Say it again.
Down to you speak in the vernacular they're most comfortable with. And it turns out if they're comfortable with their language use and style, so will their readers be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying that. Because I do screw up words sometimes. I do different things. I remember one of my editors say, you're kind of punchy when you write. That is my style.
Yeah.
That's my style. Okay, so let's talk to all our authors out here. How do you think? What's the best process to get their book review? Besides submitting it to Midwest Book Reviews, because you have rules also.
So my advice is principally directed for aspiring authors.
Perfect.
Operating off of what I call shoestring and even no-string budgets for writing, for getting published, for promoting and publicizing, for marketing. You've got a book, and it's ready to be reviewed. What do you do? Well, are you working as a self-published author, or are you working with an existing publish-on-demand called Pod Press, or are you working with a traditional publisher called the Simon & Schuster's of the world? If you're on your own, essentially, and by the way, on your own, that applies to what's called mid-list authors of big houses like Random House and Penguin Putnam and all those. Those poor authors don't get the royal treatment that the big name authors get. The ones that sell 1 million copies of the same mystery that they've rewritten 18 times. So my advice to that is for a wide swath of authors aspiring to become published. One is try and get your manuscript edited. Don't try to do it yourself. And the reason for that is because we are all, me too, word blind when it comes to proofing our own material.
Mm-hmm.
I write, 60, 70 reviews a month. And I screw up every once in a while, and the author has to say, you misspelled my name. Or, I put the wrong, there's T-O, T-O-O, T-W-O, and I chose the wrong two. So it happens to all of us, and we go blind, we don't see it. Plus, we don't see what's called run-on sentences. We don't see run-on paragraphs. In fact, one of my jobs editing other people's reviews is I have to correct run-on paragraphs, break them down as to where the way they should.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that, Jim, from some of the old Hemingway? Hemingway ran on a whole paragraph for a page. I've seen that on
yes,
some of his writing. And that goes back to my punchy side. As a columnist, for 10 years, I wrote a column for the business journals. And I learned to love a short sentence. I learned to admire the punch of a one-word sentence. I learned to devour a one-sentence paragraph that brought the punch. So,
if you're an author with no budget to hire a professional proofreader, what do? A lot of writers are part of a writing group of friends, or maybe a workshop, or a college literary creative writing class. Offer to exchange. You'll proof their manuscript if they'll proof yours.
I like that idea.
Also, you go down to your local public library and ask the librarian if you could post a note on their little announcement boards that all libraries have, take sale here, whatever's going on there, and ask if anyone would like to volunteer to proofread their manuscript. Libraries are religious institutions for bibliophiles like me and you. And you're always going to have somebody in their patronage that would maybe like to help out an aspiring author proofing their book. So those are two resources if you've got no money to hire it. By the way, if you have money to hire it, that is a wise expenditure of your limited funds, because most self-published books are rejected by the major review resources, like the New York Times Book Review or the Library Journal, because self-publishing got a very crippling bad reputation early on, because authors filled with enthusiasm lack the professional skills to correct themselves. And so much came out with blatant problems of spelling, revisionism, and so forth and so on. Okay, that's first. Now, you've got a manuscript, you're confident in proofing it, and you think it's ready to submit review. What do? Well, you go to your Google machine on your personal computer, and you type in book reviewers dash the theme or genre or category of your book.
Perfect.
Perfect. Novels, Roman history, whatever the genre or category or subject matter might be. And up, zap, will be a roster of reviewers. By the way, the Midwest Book Review got started as an educational activity for aspiring writers to help them write better, and publishers to publish more profitably, and librarians to become aware of good books that they otherwise might never know about, relying only on the Library Journal or the New York Times Book Review. So I created on our website a section called Other Reviewers. And it's a database that I've created over the last 50 years of freelance book reviewers, book review magazines and publications, book review websites, and blogs. Well, what you do is you click on other once you go to our homepage, MidwestBookReview.com, go down the left-hand side that lists all the sections. It's a massive, massive website. And there's a section called Other Reviewers. You click on it, up comes this very long list. And what you do is you go down the list and see if any of them sound thematically appropriate to your particular book. Click on it, you'll zap to that website, read through that other website, and you'll be able to determine if they are a good fit for your book and if they are what their submission guidelines are. Wherever you go, submitting your reviews, you always want to do two things. One, you want to acquaint yourself with what their submission guidelines are, because they vary from resource to resource, reviewer to reviewer. There are two kinds of book review publications: pre-publication, post-publication. Pre-publication is like Forward Magazine. They want your manuscript in the form of a PDF file 3 to 6 months before your anticipated publication date. They will reject out of hand any book that's already published, already in the book. Post-publication, they don't want a pre-publication PDF file or an ARC, an advanced reading copy, or an uncorrected proof, because they want the finished book, the published book, because it is now available to librarians and the booksellers and the general reading public, but also because they're a television talk show and need the book as a prop for the TV when they interview the author, or because of the Midwest Book Review, whose primary target audience for our reviews are librarians, and secondarily, booksellers. And then thirdly, the general public. Nothing agitates a bibliophile more than getting all enthused about a book because they read the review only to find out they got to wait 5 months before they get their hands on it. Mm-hmm. So determine whether it's a pre-publication reviewer or a post-publication reviewer and proceed accordingly. Second, you have to present yourself professionally. When you submit your book, you've got to have accompanying it some form of publicity or press release. And it's one of my best kept and most distributed secrets on how any author does not have to spend $400 or $500 or $600 to a professional to write a one-page PR that would be of professional quality and useful for librarians, booksellers, distributors, the general reading public, anybody. Here's the secret.
I love secret sauce. I love secrets, Jim. All right.
Here we go.
Okay.
It's a one-piece sheet of paper with the following: title, author, publisher, publisher address, publisher website, if any, publisher email, if any, ISBN number, price, page count, formats, hardcover, paperback, Kindle, page count, publishing release date, a 1-paragraph descriptive summary of the book, a 1-paragraph author biography, especially if you have some form of credential for it, or other books that you have published in the same genre. And then also make sure that your contact information includes your email address if it's different from the publisher. And the reason for this is so important. It's so that I, as the reviewer, can send you a formal confirmation notification email accompanies the book or the PDF file that goes to the prospective reviewer, pre or post. Now, equally important is something that almost is never covered in any creative writing class I've ever been taught.
Okay.
The follow-up. For me, what I advise all authors and publishers and publicists to do is that 10 working days, skipping holidays and weekends, 10 working days after you pop a book into the mail today, that you send an email follow-up. And in the subject line, put status request, and then the title of the book. In the message body of the email, you put title, author, publisher, ISBN number, and then you ask the following 3 questions. 1, did the book arrive safely for review? 2, what is the status of the book with respect to the review process? 3, is there any further information or assistance you can provide? Now you notice you're not hawking your book. You're not promoting your book. That's what the publicity release was for, which accompanied the book. What you're doing is you're asking them, did they get it? Are they going to review it? Is there anything further? Usually, and almost always, there's not, but once in a while there might be. The reviewer might have a question. For example, I got a book that I was reviewing, but there was no biographical information about the author. He deliberately wanted it so. So I said, well, you create a paragraph for me. And he did a little 2-sentence paragraph. It was funny as hell. Had nothing to do with the book. Just described his attitude about writing. And that was great. Plugged it in, done and done. The review will run in July, by the way, along with the one for your cookbook.
All right. So time, everyone. These are huge tips. Huge tips. So what Jim hasn't used the word that I call it, that, and Jim, that came from a show we did quite a while ago, that it's part of your guidelines. They have to have a 1 sheet on the book. Actually, it has all this stuff on it. It has all this stuff on it. And I'm just saying, I have a boo-boo. I'm going to go back after the show is done, contact my person who makes the one sheets, and I will give them the page count for every book because I
That,
have not included that. I have everything else. Everything else is on the one sheet.
the
So,
page count is important, not just to give the potential customer, an idea about the book,
mhm.
but if you're a good reviewer, you are going to swiftly get overloaded by the number of books coming in, far beyond what you can handle. And if I know that some of my favorite reviewers are starting to get that peak, I'll start sending them the smaller paged books. So, not the 800-page Great American Novel. That'll go to somebody else that doesn't have that accumulated background because they're so good. People want them by name. Now there's
while we're thinking here,
one
I
more
want to tell
thing.
people what to do. One thing they need to do when they get the review, and anything that comes out of Midwest, and I think is so right on and stellar, and they have such a great name. I would encourage all of you to find a blurb within that review, and
Oh yeah,
you go to your Amazon detail page, and I want you to go to when you put your summary in of where your book is, I want you to do it the tippy top, that blurb, and put into the publication from Midwest or Midwest Book Reviews. And it's so you have that source there. That will help you a lot and save it.
there's one more thing that the aspiring reviewer who's dealing with the Midwest book review, as far as I know, this is unique to us.
Mhm.
We get far more books than we can service with the amount of reviewers I've got. And these are good books. The only reason they failed to achieve a review assignment was too many good books and not enough reviewers to handle them all. So many years ago, I got this bright idea. If any author or publisher or publicist sending us a book to review is denied a review only because too many books, not enough reviewers, my policy is that if that author or publisher or publicist has a review of that book from someone else or somewhere else, I'm willing to run it at no charge for free in one of our monthly book review publications called Reviewers Book Watch in their behalf and under the reviewer's byline. I mean, they spent money, postage, the cost of producing the book to enter what amounts to, I guess, a lottery, a literary lottery. And I started this whole thing as a champion of what I call the little guy, because back in the 70s, book reviewing was isolated to ivory towers on the East Coast. And if you were a small press or a niche publisher or self-published book, you didn't have a prayer. It was the preserve of the big houses, and Austin Reinhold back then, Henry Holt back then. And if you were Chippewa Falls Publishing Company, forget it. In terms of national attention, forget it. And that's what, my mentor was a professor who was interested in adult education and lifelong learning. He wanted to see what would happen if you gave cab drivers, housewives, social workers like me a book and a forum in which to tell the world what they thought of it. And it turned out to be a really good idea, especially for the little guys in the publishing industry. But
All right.
I think I told you that a couple of months ago on two different occasions, once with an author and once with a publicist, they both came up and described me as a living legacy.
Well, I think that's appropriate.
Well, but I'll tell you how to be a living legacy in publishing.
Hmm.
Outlive everybody you started off with.
Well, that'll do it, Jim.
That leaves you and me.
Yep. We're still hanging in here. Okay, okay. I have to ask you. I have to ask you about AI.
Oh, yeah, that is the
So,
hot.
okay, so I'm just going to say I open the door, the impact, where do you see it going? Can you, when you're reviewing, I'll just ask this, when you're reviewing, can you tell that AI is in play?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, the column that I write for the publishing industry, it's called the Jim Cox Report. The June 2026 issue, the current issue, is devoted to the subject of AI and its impact on the publishing industry.
All
Writing,
right.
publishing, marketing. It's for free. Just go to the website, midwestbookreview.com. Go down that left-hand list of all the sections. Click on the Jim Cox Report. Up will be the files. Just click on the one, the current one, which is June 2026, and bang, there you go. And by the way, it's free. If you want to subscribe to it, just send me an email. I'll ask to be signed up for it.
Okay, Jim, I'm going to do the ask. I love it. And can I have permission to reprint it in my blog and circulate it?
Absolutely.
All right, you got it. All right.
Well, and this was probably another thing that sets the Midwest Book Review apart. See, I never wanted to write the great American novel. My ambitions were far more modest. I simply wanted the power of life and death over those who did. So to repent myself, I decided that everything I write, everything I put on the website is free of charge. Anybody, everybody can use whatever they want to for their own newsletters or their own books. I've had people cite some of the stuff I've written as passages in their how-to books on publishing and writing. Just cite the Midwest Book Review as the source when you do so. Hey, it's great. Help yourself, everybody and anybody.
Mhm.
AI and what is it doing to the publishing industry? It's here. We're not waiting for 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road. It's here and now. And I cite a sentence in my Jim Cox report. Technology marches on, but in the case of AI, it's trying for a new land speed record in terms of how fast it is impacting everything we do. Politics, advertising, book writing, merchandising, songwriting. There are now on the top 10 song list songs written exclusively by artificial intelligence.
I have a friend, Jim, who is actually proposing all authors do that, and I'm going, what?
Well, here's the deal. Well, by the way, students are using AI to write their papers. Teachers are using AI to grade those papers.
I know.
So there's
I know.
But now it turns into writing. A lot of people get what's called writer's block. I mean, we all have. You're staring at a screen or you're staring at a paper and a typewriter, and there's nothing going on inside your head. It turns out that AI can be an interesting way to stimulate and break through writer's block. You know, what's your book about? What are you stuck with? You type into your little AI engine. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm stuck with. What do you suggest? Boom! And the recommendations come in 3 categories: good, bad, and they can sue you for that. So that's one positive use for AI as a writer.
Mhm.
Second, AI has no nuance right now. Now, that may differ as the technology gets better and better and better. Here's a related incident. 3 months ago, I had to call in to reorder some parts for my sleep machine, CPAP. And I was talking on the young lady, ordering the parts I wanted, and I was 3 minutes into the conversation when it dawned on me to ask her a question. Are you a person or a program? She said she was a program for the health communication CPAP supply. Would I like to talk to a person? I said, no, thank you. You've satisfied all my questions and logged my order in. I had no idea I was not talking to an actual young lady. None. And I don't know why I asked that question at the end. It just popped out. And there it was.
Mm-hmm.
AI can help you write a book, but it can't write the book for you. That's what the hope I'm clinging to, is that if you're an aspiring writer, you've got an idea, and you're trying to articulate that idea, tell the story, or to teach the class. And AI can help you if you run into a block, if you run into trouble. But I don't think you can make it all the way through. Because I see a couple of things. I see non sequiturs in the writings that I've begun to encounter. Basically, self-published novels, romance, science fiction, historical fiction. There are errors that somebody who did research for historical fiction to set a mystery in Edwardian England, but they're popping off things that didn't come around until Elizabeth II. AI can't pick out some of those inconsistencies, incongruities. Yeah. But we use computers to check our spelling. There are computer programs to help us with our grammar. AI is just another tool. But there's a downside to it.
Well, let's talk about that.
The downside is unscrupulous people can just clog up the distribution arteries with AI-generated books, regardless of any literary merit they might have, because the genres are repetitive. Genres have certain continuing elements that makes it a genre, like Amish romances. Barber Publishing and Bethany House Publishing produced a lot of romances specifically set in Amish and Mennonite communities, and there's an enthusiastic fan following for that subgenre of romance fiction. And I can see somebody just plugging into the AI all the key words that are involved in Amish fiction, Amish romance fiction, punching a button and having a book. Getting it sold for Wanda Grimstetter, who is a founder of this genre, subgenre. It's crowded out of the field. Buyer beware if you're a reader. And by the way, the big houses, and I cite one in my article in the Jim Cox report, is identified by name as permitting his company to publish AI generated book material. So it's with us. Be careful. Be also careful. Anything else?
Mm-hmm. So, I'm in bookstores a lot, Jim, and I do talk to the managers, um, and I know that the CEO of Barnes and Noble says they will accept AI
That's
related
the
books. Did you
guy.
did you see that?
That's the guy. And why does he say this? Because it generates revenue for his book.
Always. So it's a bottom line thing.
It's a bottom line thing. That's why AI generated books will be with us for the foreseeable future, if not longer, because somebody is going to make money with it.
Well, the
I,
problem,
I feel a little uneasy about saying that because some of my favorite genres, like, heroic sword and sorcery fantasy fiction, Conan the Barbarian stuff, that was lowbrow, really lowbrow stuff, as opposed to the elegant fantasies of a Tolkien. But I loved it. I loved those sword and sorcery novels. Those, a bare-chested hero with a big blade and a comely, if endangered, princess to save. So I can't look too far down my nose at genre fiction produced en masse by AI if there are readers who enjoy it. I just hope.
Well, as you know, Jim, there were a gazillion books published last year, like 4 million of them.
Yes.
And I think that maybe the angle is going to be like I'm a member of the Authors Guild, and I actually register all my books. So they have a little certificate, but and it says on my copyright page that my books are created by human intelligence. And
that's one way to do it. In fact, that's a very good way to do it.
Well, you're welcome.
Print it on your book that this is not an AI product.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you now that if I'm aware that a book has AI material, I'm going to toss it. I'm not going to read it.
Okay, so if a book comes in the Midwest and one of your reviewers or you do your own some of the reviews too, comes in, what are maybe the 1, 2, or 3 telltales that will do the stop?
Change in storytelling style, I think, is the largest one in terms of fiction. An AI will not speak with your voice. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm reading along and I'm absorbing, reviewers' styles can be as distinctly identifiable as thumbprints, I swear. The way they use the language, the length of their sentence structures, their grammar deviations, shall we say. By the way, I say, if learn the rules of good grammar and then break them as you wish. Unfortunately, most people don't learn the rules of good grammar, but break them anyway. But some rules of grammar, like Mark Twain is famous for, broke because they made the writing more effective, more engaging, more absorbing, more reader-friendly. But anyway.
So are you saying if the grammar is too perfect,
yep,
that's a flag?
Yep.
Okay, got it. All right, that's a second flag. So the story style, okay, and the third flag might be?
Especially for nonfiction, is incorrect information being cited in the book. They got it wrong. In 1776, we weren't fighting for emancipation from Russia. Believe it or not, I saw that.
Right. So Jim, you're saying that it went in for the word is hallucinations. They
Right.
make up shit.
Yep.
So that comes more with the nonfiction than with
Yeah.
okay.
Or at least for me personally, it's more easily identifiable in nonfiction, the stuff
Hmm.
got made up,
Hmm.
than in fiction, because basically fiction is stuff you're making up.
Hmm.
So it's easier to conceal that in
Hmm.
fiction as fact.
Well, that's right. Well, I remember talking to one of my clients, and I'm saying, so Charlie, which part did you know? Because it was based on a true story. So which parts, um, which parts are true? And he said, they're all true except for the parts I made up.
There's true and there's true adjacent.
All right, so we've got just a couple of
Before,
minutes. Yep.
before I, I want to make sure we have time to tell people how they can become book reviewers. Would that
All
be
right,
all
kiss
right?
on it. All right, kiss on it right now. We got a couple of minutes.
Okay. First, take a book that you've read and write a review. I suggest framing your effort as follows. There is an information block. That's where you put title, author, publisher, ISBN numbers, and so forth. And if the book is on Amazon, you put the Amazon link. If the book is also on Barnes & Noble, I suggest put the Barnes & Noble link. That's because there are some people who don't want to do business with Amazon. And so they support smaller online companies like Barnes & Noble. That's the info block. And second is synopsis. This is a descriptive summary of the book. You can take something straight off of Amazon's webpage, that'll do, or in a publicity release, because all you're doing is you're offering a summary of the book. The next block is called critique, and this is the review part of the review. How well did the author write, organize, present his book? Who is the book directed to, and is it recommendable to that identified readership? Is this a good pick for a library? And if it's available in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle, I always put for personal reading list, this hardcover edition of XYZ from Commodore Books is also available in paperback, parentheses, the ISBN number and the price, and in a digital book format, parentheses, Kindle, $, dollar amount, parentheses. And then the final section is editorial note. This is where I put the author biography. This structure will help people that have never written a review other than maybe a high school book review. So this gives you some structure to start with, to try with.
No, great. Great info.
If you have one now you got your review, send it to book review publications known for accepting outside reviews. Offer it for free. And the reason you offer it for free is you've got to build up a legitimacy for yourself as a reviewer with the publishing industry, with the marketing directors and the publicists as well as authors. Use outlets like the Midwest Book Review, and there are others in the country.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Book review publishers dash your part of the world or the genre book you just finished. Punch, and up comes the list.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and we have to do a wrap here. I think it's really important for if you do want to become a book reviewer, that you do, if you have a genre specific that you excel in, or just fiction or nonfiction,
Yeah.
I think put the label on yourself. Otherwise, you'll just get bombarded. Just get bombarded
Yep.
by people.
And
It sounds good. Jim Cox,
yes.
you're fabulous. We never got the publishing trends. Maybe we need to do a whole show just on publishing trends of
You and
what's
I
going.
do a mini series on the publishing industry.
Well, let's just come back. We'll come back and do another one. So Jim
And
Cox,
I
everyone,
got
you
my
can.
daughter, who's my also managing editor, to set these Zoom things up.
We'll do it. We'll do it. All right. So MidwestBookReviews.com, everyone. There are 9 different publications that are,
And
you
lots
will
of
fit
them.
in one of them. You will fit in one of them. Send them in. But remember, your book is already published. Make sure you look at their guidelines. You better make sure you have a book one sheet with everything on it, including the number of pages. With that said, Jim Cox, thank you so much.
Goodbye, good luck, and good reading.
There you go. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.